Hi everyone, welcome to another video. Now, some of you may have seen the video I actually put up yesterday. It was the last video before this. It was in response to one of my subscribers who had messaged me to say that they'd had a relapse, and I wanted to sort of address it quite quickly, but to be completely honest, I wasn't really happy with the video. The sound was pretty bad. I tried to shoot it in my car while I was driving home from work, and it didn't come out very well, so I wanted to sort of give it a bit more time today and sort of address the subject of relapses in a bit more detail. Now, if you are suffering from a relapse, or you've just had a relapse, and that's why you've reached this video, then my first bit of advice was to stay calm. You know, try and move on from it. Basically, the path of recovery is never smooth. If I had £1 for every time I'd had a relapse, then I may well cover a substantial part of my gambling debt. So, firstly, don't panic, and what I would say is don't dwell on it, because if you dwell on a relapse, then the chances are that it will become a more substantial relapse. You may even sort of get to the point where you think, what's the point? You know, you may convince yourself that you're unable to stay in recovery, you're unable to abstain from gambling, so you decide to just carry on the way you've always done, the kind of fuck it response, as I call it. That's the primary thing, really, is if you have relapsed, that basically means that you have undergone already a period of abstinence. So that's got to be something that's you can take as a positive. If you're gambling every day and you've managed to take a week off from your gambling, then it's progress, isn't it? Of course, relapsing is always the last thing you want to do. And what I would say is, while you're frustrated with yourself, while you're angry with yourself for doing this, or while you've got the motivation to do this, take a really serious look at why you relapsed. Why you were able to relapse is significantly more important than that. If you were able to gamble, then it means that there was not sufficient blocks in place. There was doors left ajar that enabled you to gamble when you were triggered to do so, or when the addiction got the better of you. Now, one thing I would say as gamblers is that, certainly in the initial stages of recovery, and I know this because I've been there, is that we do have a tendency to leave doors open for ourselves. We sort of make token efforts to sort of quit gambling. We sort of go out and we put some blocks in place, and we make the right noises, we talk to people, which are all fantastic steps. But what you'll find is, as gamblers, we tend to leave some doors ajar, either consciously or subconsciously, because the idea of never gambling again is quite a daunting prospect, particularly if it's been such a significant part of your life. So what I would suggest is, if you are suffering from a relapse, be honest with yourself. Ask yourself, did I deliberately leave doors open? Did I know that I would still be able to gamble if I wanted to? Again, this isn't a criticism, we've all been there, but it's a good thing to address now while the feeling's quite raw, and then you can actually get those additional blocks in place, so next time you're triggered by something that might happen in your life, or purely the addiction becomes slightly overwhelming, then it becomes that much harder to gamble. One thing I always say is that it's never impossible to gamble, but the whole point of these blocks, of putting these measures in place to prevent us from gambling, is to make it very, very difficult, and at the very least, buy us some thinking time. When I used to gamble, I used to do a lot of online slots. I used to play a lot of online slots. I self-excluded from a lot of casinos, but I knew initially that I hadn't self-excluded from all of them, i.e. I left a door ajar. It was only after repeated relapses that I then went out and I put GamStop in place, and I put some other blocks in place as well. I joined other casinos. I then self-excluded straight away. It's a great step. Now, I know for a fact that if I wanted to gamble online, I could. There is no method out there that is impenetrable. GamStop is not faultless, and there'll always be new casinos, there'll be new casino groups, normally some of the less reputable ones, that you can join and gamble if you decide to do so. But by making it incredibly difficult for myself, for not having any active accounts, for having those blocks in place, it buys me a substantial amount of thinking time. So if I am triggered and I want to go and gamble, by the time I've actually found somewhere where I can gamble, hopefully the feeling may have passed, or I may have had time to basically assess the situation and realise that gambling isn't the solution to this. So if you are coming to this video on the back of a relapse, then firstly, don't panic, don't beat yourself up about it, sit down, relax, chalk it down as a lesson, but for God's sake, learn from it. Look at why you gambled, look at why you were able to gamble, and why this relapse was able to occur. Put additional blocks in place, and the next time you'll have that bit more time, that bit more headspace, that bit more thinking space to do something about it before you do more damage. Thanks very much for watching this video, and thanks if you did watch the last one. I wanted to record this again, like I say, just to make it a little bit clearer, have a little bit better sound, because I did try and rush the one out yesterday in response to one of my subscribers. If you think these kind of videos are really useful, give us a thumbs up on the likes. I don't like doing this; it sounds a bit YouTubery, but if you would subscribe, if you haven't already, that'd be fantastic. It does help my reach, basically. Give the thing a like. Put a comment in if you're suffering from a relapse. If you want to speak to me personally, then just send me a message. I can't guarantee I'll reply very quickly because I do work full time. So if you want to speak to someone urgently, I strongly recommend speaking to GamCare. If it's serious and you are having dark thoughts, or you're considering sort of any kind of self-harm because of your gambling, and we have all been there, then give the Samaritans a shout. They are fantastic. It gives you someone to speak to straight away. But in a longer term, if you want to have a chat about anything, send me a message. I'll respond to all comments as much as I can, and I'll see you on the next video, guys. Very much appreciated. Have a good day.